So can we please give a warm, inspiring Talks Brighton welcome to Mark Heath.
Thank you, Zoe. So thank you for the reception. I initially gave this talk. One of the students that I taught in London, she was at UCL, University College London, and she was doing a symposium on consciousness because she was doing a degree in philosophy or something. So she asked me to do a speech because I taught her transcendental meditation. And so this is based off that. So I was acutely aware when I walked in that this is extremely kind of deep, I would say. And I walked in, I thought, oh shit, I really have chosen the wrong thing for this audience. But I'm going to sort of stick with it because it's like something that's always going around my head 24/7, and I feel I need to sort of get it out. So just bear with me, and I will do my best to make it as relatable as I can. And if it's not, will someone just say you're going off on one? Yeah, please. Right. So, I'm also aware I'm not supposed to be selling anything either. So, this is what I do. I'm a teacher of that, but I'm not going to sell it. But it's part of my story, so it's inevitable that it's going to come up. Okay. So I learnt transcendental meditation when I was a student, when I was 18, randomly, and I discovered that I really liked it, and it was actually nicer than real life. So I ended up training as a teacher, and then I went to live in America because I really, I just wanted to sit with my eyes closed all day, basically, because it was so enjoyable. And back when I was a student, you could get free university. That's how young I am not. And the reason I went to uni is because I didn't know what to do with myself, and I don't know what to do with myself, but it's different. So I learnt, I just luckily came across something that sort of I actually liked doing, hence I trained as a teacher, and then I went to basically be a monk, which was very nice, and then I came back to Brighton. So now I teach. So how many people here do or have done or practice some sort of meditation or mindfulness? Oh, wow. Everyone, pretty much. So when I first started teaching...
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please, go ahead.
What do you think the Dalai Lama said was the best form of meditation?
I don't know, the one that works?
He said sleep.
Sleep, yeah, sleep is good. The thing about sleep is it's very restful, but you're not there. So you miss it. You only know it when you look back. So I'm going to talk about this, mechanics of fulfillment desire, transforming consciousness from duality to unity. And basically the point that I would like to have got across by the time I finish in about, who's timing me?
Oh my God, that's me.
So by the time I finish in 15 minutes, is it 15 minutes? By the time I finish, I would like to have sort of sowed the seed, and my kind of bold claim now and at the end is that it's not necessary to suffer, and it's not necessary to suffer, and it's not necessary to be stressed. And the reason that humans suffer and are stressed is because their consciousness makes a mistake. It sounds very simple, but it's actually extremely true. So what I would like to do is just take you on a little sort of step-by-step explanation that would try and just maybe sort of sow the seed of a possibility whereby you might realize there's something more than life might appear to be right now. Right, that's my point. So am I making sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide, please, Sally. Okay, consciousness. We'll start with what's consciousness. Consciousness is that which is aware of itself. And so if I have a thought, or if I experience a pint of Stella Artois, or if I ride my motorbike, I am aware of those things, right? So I'm conscious of that experience. And that is the definition of consciousness, that which is aware of itself. Consciousness has a threefold structure. Next slide, please. The threefold structure of consciousness, and this is everyone, regardless of whether you're stupid or clever or sad or happy or whatever, is there is a three-in-one structure, because there is an object, and there therefore is the subject, you, and there is the relationship between the two. Now, normally, we take the subject to be me, and the object to be something sort of over there. That could be the lectern, it could be Donald Trump, or it could be my thoughts and my emotions, because they're still objects. So consciousness has a three-in-one structure for everyone, regardless, 24/7. That's the nature of it. Next slide, please. The cause of suffering is that consciousness makes a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's something that happens. There's no mistakes really, but it's something that happens, which is that consciousness gets unbalanced in that it overlooks the subject. It overlooks you as the quiet witness or the quiet experiencer of your life and your story and your world and your universe. So what happens is there's an imbalance, and it kind of happens without you noticing, because basically when you are living in a dual world, which probably most people are, you might not be, but probably that's generally how people are, they feel that they are their body and everything else is over there and is not them. And so that is what we would traditionally call duality. So there's me, and then there's this massive world, and I was born, I'm going to die, and I have to kind of navigate and try and get what I want. And that's when consciousness has actually made a mistake. Hence my crazy word there. This is a Sanskrit term which means mistake of the intellect. Your brain is conditioned by society and time and programming to tell you that everything out there and you are two different things, and that's your experience of life. And it breeds suffering because it's not actually true. Next slide, please. Is this making sense?
Yes.
It's not too deep or abstract? Good. Okay, good.
We can do deep.
Okay. So. Pardon? This is Brighton. Oh, good, thank you. Yeah, London, they were like, meh. So, the symptom, I've said that there's one symptom because I like to try and keep it simple so you remember. The symptom of duality is desire. And, of course, there's nothing wrong with desire. It's fine and good. But the reason why it's like this is because when you live in a world of duality, your desire flows out there, and its purpose when you're living that dual world is to make you feel good, right? Nothing wrong with that, but the problem is that all those things that you desire, people and experiences and stuff and whatever, they are transient, and also even if you get them, they're not really within your control. So it's the reason why there's a fire is because desire, they call it the fire of desire. You get one thing, it burns up that thing, and then there's the next thing, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. That's not a problem as long as you're not seeking a sense of meaning and satisfaction and fulfillment in those changing, uncontrollable things. Right? Next slide, please. So for most people, that previous slide is kind of normal, and they don't even think about anything else. It's just the way life is. But for some people, and actually it's getting more common, you all do mindfulness, which is quite something, and meditation, because you've realized that actually there's something, there's life out there, but there's also me in here. And if I maybe improve this in here, it might improve that out there, which is a wise step to kind of take. So the wake-up call could be just one day you think, this is it, I'm going to make a change. Or you might have an accident, or someone might die, or Brexit might happen, something spurs you to kind of think, I'm beating the same drum and it's not working. I need to make a change. So you kind of rethink. You have this sort of insight that the place that you have been looking for what you want is maybe not where it's found. That's what I call the wake-up call. And then you start thinking, oh, maybe I'll learn to meditate. Maybe I'll do mindfulness. Maybe I'll go to India and try and find a guru. Or maybe I'll do yoga every day. Or maybe I'll just take loads of drugs. Or something, whatever. So you kind of start to think of changing yourself internally rather than trying to find your satisfaction and meaning out there. Next slide, please. So, the obvious thing is to try and find that meaning through, creating a sense of connection with other people, right? So, maybe you go live in an ashram, or you set up some organization or something, which is really wonderful and brilliant. However, it still fails to address the source of your experience, which is you. And remember, this is a physical thing, it's the brain and all that. It's not mystical. So what we need to do to effect a change, to get wise, is to transform the machinery, this nervous system. Next slide, please. So this is a good way to think of trying to fix, if you have a problem, there's two ways you can fix it. One is to try and deal with it on the level of the problem. The other is to consider the source of the problem. Okay, and a nice way to kind of consider this is if you have a tree or a plant or a flower in your garden and the thing is not looking so good. So maybe, it's wilting, the leaves are a bit brown and it's starting to die, maybe. It's even starting to die. And you have basically two choices. You have two avenues of approach. One is you try and fix it on what's above ground. The other is you try and fix it on what's below the ground. Now, because this is below the ground, in life, it's not as obvious. And so people try and fix things. They might go and see a therapist or try and fix their, be more assertive, or try and be more confident, try and change their behavior, because all those things are, they're on the above ground, surface. However, nothing wrong with that, but if you do not attend to the root, any work here is kind of a little tiny bit pointless. Not totally pointless, but you'll do a lot better if you address both. So transcending, just a tiny bit, transcendental meditation, which I just randomly came across. 5 minutes left. Good timing. So transcendental meditation, I teach it because I just came across it luckily. I found it was great. It totally changed me, and I teach it. And so I'm used to it, and it worked for me. So I feel confident to kind of, explain it. And transcending means to go beyond, okay? So transcending, if you want to fix the whole tree, you have to go beyond the tree. This is the principle. So you attend to the root. And the root of you and your life and everything about your world that you live in is you as the subject. Not your thoughts or your behavior or your actions. It's what comes before that. What is the origin? Now, in order to tap into that, to access it, enliven it, and bring it up to the surface, you need to transcend everything that you know. You need to transcend your thought, your speech, and your action. And this is the principle behind this meditation that I teach, which is why I kind of like doing it, because it makes sense to me. Next slide, please. So, once you, I'm going to go right to the other end. Once you have realized and seen the mistake that your consciousness was making, then the subject, which was hidden, you could say, becomes visible. Remember that 3-in-1 structure? There was the subject, the object, and the relationship. So this is what I've found, and I've been meditating a long time, is that I've found that there is a 180-degree shift that is possible, and the result is that you realize that everything was completely the opposite the way you thought it was. That you are not this body, that you are not separate from everything else, and that there is a bigger context. The classic line, which I like, is that instead of you being a speck in the universe is a speck in you. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but when you actually live that, it's quite nice, as an understatement. So, the point I want to make, going back to the tree, is that there are two ways to transform the machinery. Remember, that's what we want to do, is transform the machinery. One is to transcend, i.e. to attend to the root, and the other, you can deal with the tree on the level of where the problem is. And that requires a slightly more kind of cognitive approach. It doesn't require transcending. The ideal is to do both. Because if your tree is suffering, maybe you have a bit of dead wood, you want to trim it, but you also want to nourish the root. So you want to do both. So in life, this is what I do, is that there are two ways you can affect a change. One is from the ground up, and the other is from, you could say, the top down. So this is what I do, and the possibility, and it's good to feel that there's a possibility. The possibility is that you can experience life free from suffering. That doesn't mean you're like happy all the time. That's kind of ridiculous, because emotions are nice, and sometimes even sadness is okay. But suffering is a very different thing from suffering. Does not mean being happy all the time. Suffering is when the mind resists what's taking place. It's very simple. And that kind of mechanism is built in. It's kind of programmed in from every single angle that we resist what's taking place. So clarity of consciousness as a result of transforming the machinery enables a state of consciousness whereby suffering does not arise. It's very simple. Next slide, please. That's it. That's it. So, if you, just one thing. If this has sparked a seed of interest, you can find me online, all these places. Just, sorry.
That question. So, Mark, that was fantastic. How can we find you?
So you can find me here for the next hour or two, and also if you can search for transcendental meditation. I teach in London and Brighton. Use the internet. It's very easy. I live here. I live here. You can find me. I'll be in Plenty Cafe. I live in Plenty Cafe down by the circus.
Before we give Mark a massive round of applause, I don't want to underplay the benefits of meditation. I meditate twice a day, and my husband, who's sitting over there, and one of my dearest friends, I think can attest to the transformation that it had in my life, and it is really transformational. It doesn't need to be deep or anything like that, and I don't think that was deep, Mark. I think it was really accessible, and it just really reminded me of why I do it every day. So a huge, huge inspiring talks. Brighton, thank you. To Mark.